the beginning, this was something I was going to do in my spare time, working full time, raising our kids. We got 5 kids.
Yeah, I was going to get to that because I don't know how. What did you even know the phrase spare time?
No, but I figured there was some in there somewhere. But I think the stepping down point when I decided to actually take the plunge was, so Heather Heyer was killed in Charlottesville, North Carolina. And at first I was just kind of playing around with this idea of setting up a nonprofit organization. And her death spurred me to just do it. What made me take the plunge to full-time was I ran out of PTO. And it was September. And I was like, this is actually not spare time work. This is actually full-time work. I need to be all in to actually make it what I want to make it.
That's so hilarious. Ran out of PTO. I mean, if that's all it takes to make miracles happen, then I'm taking off tomorrow, brother.
See, what I give here is unlimited PTO.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
Well, thanks for joining us, Erica Williams. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy these days, but Executive Director of A Red Circle in North St. Louis County, promote healthy food access, education, justice, just making a change in the world. And I mean, what it's something that just requires trying to think of what sparks inside of a person where action is taken. At what point were you like, all right, I need to, because that's really what we all think of certain things, but we don't take action until something happens.
Until
it seems
something
like
big happens.
Yeah, right. So what, in your case, or just in general, what have you seen? What do you believe it to be, as far as what it takes for somebody to make a change, take action, take on maybe something bigger than themselves, and maybe it's just taking on themselves. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think it has to be something that is close to the person. Like for us, going back to 2014 when Michael Brown Jr. was killed, my husband and I have 4 sons. We have 4 black sons, very similar in age and body build and all of that. And seeing it happen so close to where I live, that was like my catalyst to begin to look at just how I was living my life and contributing to the advancement of racial equity, or how I was not contributing to the advancement of racial equity. I mean, I had a great job at a wonderful law firm in Clayton, Missouri, and was really blessed. My husband has a great job. He's still at the same company that he was at, and our children were thriving, and our marriage was great. So, the racial equity piece never really entered my mind because we're black, we're doing great, we must have arrived. But when he was killed and the world kind of went crazy, that really caused me to take a step back and think, maybe it's not the same for all black people in North County as it is for us. Maybe there's something happening. So I did some research, and I'm a former paralegal. I did my research. I did my due diligence, looked into some past Supreme Court cases, and discovered the Shelley versus Kramer case, and learned about the term redlining and restrictive deed covenants that are on real estate, and how, at the time they would put in the deed, you cannot sell this house to a black family, or the federal government would not insure mortgages for black homeowners. All of this was happening right here in St. Louis. And so I began to look at where it was happening, and I began to see a pattern of South City versus North City, and South County versus North County, and highway construction, and just like, this was by design. This was intentional. So that caused me to really think into, what investment am I making, and can I make a change? Can I make a difference?
Yeah, well, by the looks of this office, there's a lot going on, and I've listened to you on various other media outlets, and then of course did some of my own research in preparation for today, and certainly you have made that change. Like Chris was getting at, like we all think about things we want to be better, but usually we then go to sleep. You know, how do you not go to sleep before you take action? I just, you know, like we're all bothered by things, but very few of us are. You like you said, you let 40-something years go by before you did the action you really wanted to do, right?
Yep.
And,
yep.
I mean, and does that affect you today still? Are you kind of like...
Well, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. Like, I can't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah.
Like, this is my mission, my drive. This is the reason I want to get out of bed in the morning. And, you know, it's nonprofit work. You know, so there's, you know, we're here in my office and we got school supplies behind me and a tent next to Pete and a copy machine. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way until we get our space renovated. But, you know, I'm just really, really driven by meeting other people who are just as passionate. Because one of the things I noticed when I first started doing this work was a lot of people were like, yes, thank you. We've been wanting to do something, but we've never known how to get started or where to start or
100%.
what to do. And so I kind of gave them like an outlet to like begin to jump in and volunteer and donate and also, you know, raise their fists at the injustice because they had been thinking it and feeling it, but didn't really feel like it was safe to do so until I did so.
Right. In an empowering way. I mean, just, you know, it's a positive thought process. You can go down many roads. You go down a road of, you know, you probably go down a lot of them. You're pissed. You're vengeful. You also are also proud. And then all of a sudden, moving forward, I'm going to do this. And then everything comes to moving forward and how could we make a change? So you had the previous job. You said the family was happy, the marriage was great, and all that. And then you still got up and went to work, but now you have this more passion, and now you're getting up and going to do this every day. I mean, that was going to be my question that you basically answered it, but like, it was, did you know that there was some void there when you had the other job, or did you just discover that, you know, after you started the new passion, or were you good either way, but now it's like, oh, I had to go in this direction?
Great question. So my other job is really, really cool. I got to do things in real estate. I got to do like real estate law, real estate litigation kind of transaction type things, help my attorneys out. Mm-hmm. And, you know, living here in North St. Louis County, we have a lot of vacancies. And so I was thinking, what if I were to form some kind of a economic development group to get people who are involved in real estate and business and finance to begin to see the potential of investing in North County and creating jobs that way. So I was going to begin planning a real estate economic development summit. That was going to be my thing because I saw the void while I was working because, you know, I live in North County, working in Clayton.
Right.
You see the void.
So without that, it would have been hard to see as clearly.
Yeah.
Wow.
What changed it for me was after Michael Brown Jr. was killed, I became angry. I became pissed off.
Yeah.
Truly. And like a lot of people who I was friends with, their reactions were very different from mine. And it was like, they were, how can you be upset about this? He was a thug. He was this and he was that. I'm like, he was 18. He was a baby. Whether he did something wrong beforehand or didn't do something wrong beforehand, that wasn't the point. He was a kid. He deserved due process, you know, coming from a legal background. So it went from, okay, let's do something in economic development to F everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I see you use a term like, and something I read or a phrase that I'll just say the phrase. So a community with so much vacancy. And there's a lot packed into that. On the one hand, you could take that phrase just to mean what the words on the paper say. We got buildings that are unoccupied, and that's a subject of conversation every day in St. Louis, right? We're a proud town, good bones, and replete with vacant buildings.
Yes.
But a community with so much vacancy can also mean a community that has that void of awareness that you identified and Chris kind of latched onto with respect to working in Clayton, living in North County. That's just one example, right? I mean, you could, and then I read something. I'm talking too much, but it hit me. You said you got to go to South County, with your kids back in the day, if you wanted to go to Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz, right?
Yes.
And why isn't that available where you live? And
absolutely.
So those voids create opportunities, and that's that's where you come in, right?
Yeah,
and then the rest of us.
I had to latch onto that.
Right.
That part of it. I couldn't just be angry, because you can be angry, but then what? If you're just angry, nothing changes.
Yeah, I don't know. The Chuck E. Cheese thing, I mean, I don't know who won in that situation. But at the same time, this is kind of switching gears, but I was just on this mindset of wanting to figure this out. So if you go from, you had the salary paying job, how a lot of people have all these different ideas or passions that they want to follow maybe, but they can't, how would I do that? I have to go to work tomorrow. I need my next paycheck. And how did you go from having a full-time job that was very just reliable to starting a not-for-profit and be able to make the ends meet? Like, how did that work?
Well, I'll give you two responses. First is my husband. God bless Bailey Williams. He said...
Well, you used to say that back then, too.
Oh, yeah. We've been married over 30 years now.
That's
30
pretty
years.
good then.
He said, I will float us for, about a year, 2 years and see how this goes and see if we can afford you to stay off work. So that was reason number
awesome.
one.
Yeah,
so
you could just go. You could just
reason number two, I was able to cash in my 401k.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
you have
as
that.
a small business entrepreneur, even though it's a nonprofit business, it's still a business. And so I was able to cash that in and, get that to get us started. And
that's amazing.
It's so interesting. The first year, was 2017. I started this in March 2017. And at the end of the year, we raised $15,000. And I was like, wow, people actually want to support this work.
And were you solely responsible for developing that?
I was solely responsible for everything.
Yeah. So you went around, you got that money, and you're like, this is amazing. Then you saw
year
probably
2, we raised $30,000. We doubled. I was like, look at us.
Still all you
We've
at this
arrived.
point?
And I'm still me. I'm still volunteering. And our budget now
Now you're running close to your timeline that you
7 years later, we're probably around $2 million.
That's changed.
That's unbelievable.
All because of you made that decision to change, and you guys came to an agreement as a family. Because you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, how many children do you have?
We have 5 children, and now we have 2 grandbabies.
Yeah, so that's tough. Hey, listen, I know I just had our 5th child, but I'm gonna stop. But it all works out when you have the support and you have the belief. I mean, you guys believe in each other, obviously.
Obviously,
and you had the
best.
drive and the fire, and now, what a massive impact you had on so many people. I mean, the things that people don't think about all the time is like nutrition and food and how one thing leads to another. I mean, if you feel good, what you can do, if you have access, if you even have the knowledge to understand this affects my body differently than this, and getting people to think in that way. That's changing thought patterns for long periods of time that have already been situated in people's heads and underutilized. I mean, you go to, most of the school cafeterias and stuff, you're like, what the heck? I mean, you go to a hospital and you're literally eating
chicken tenders.
the worst stuff at a hospital. Like food has nothing to do with your ability
care.
for your body to heal.
No.
Which is so amazing. It's unbelievable, really. But for you to do that, you know, you went on an education, like you were thirsting for as much information as you can.
Absolutely.
One thing probably led to another. And what's like one of your biggest, besides the, you know, how many million are we at, did you say, this year?
I think we're right at 2 million.
Right at 2 million. Besides the obvious success story
Well,
like
for
that.
operating, we also have a capital campaign.
Yeah, keep it coming.
Keep it coming.
What's like on a ground level success story that one of the first ones that you saw that just gave you a lot of momentum, fuel to
Yeah,
keep
so
going?
I would say it was when we started our healthy community market. And so we first started, you know, once we got in this space, we began to do research and look at the zip codes and the census tracts to find out where food was the scarcest, where nutrition was the scarcest. And we landed on 2 zip codes. And so we got a laptop and began walking door to door and asking people in the community, what do you think about food? What do you want to see differently with your food? And they told us they liked the Soulard Farmers Market. They wish they had something like that here. And so we were able to partner with a church in the region and start our healthy community market that runs 6 months, May through October, one Saturday every month, where we can bring in farmers and vendors who sell healthy, you know, items that they make or that they procure. And the first year was 2019. And people would come to our booth and they would pick up, you know, some of the romaine lettuce or the bok choy, and they would kind of look at it and go, maybe I'll try. This was 2019. Last year, 2023, they're lining up 15 minutes before the market opens. Where are my vegetables? I want my fresh vegetables. Like they're asking about us in April. Is the group coming back in May? Are they bringing back those fresh vegetables?
Where's this at?
This is at Zion Travelers Missionary Baptist Church in the village of Riverview on Chambers Road and Lilac.
And
I know right where that is.
And it was people were kind of looking at it like that, but was it immediate success, like after a couple of weeks or a couple of months or what?
No, so this kind of work takes years. It takes years because you have to build trust with the community. You have to show consistency. You know, there have been groups that have come into neighborhoods like ours that, you know, set up something great. They do it one time, it didn't work. Oh, well, we tried, and they leave. So we kept trying every year. Every year we would bring more offerings, more foods, more resources, more services. So last year's market was the biggest market that we've had with the most vendors, and everyone had just such a great time at every market day. We play music.
Oh, it changes the whole.
It changes the whole
everything,
vibe. It changes
everything.
the whole vibe.
How did you? But like, so initially, how many people would come?
If we went to
And how many vendors?
pantry, well, there would be maybe the first market we had, I think 6, and that was 2019. The next year was 2020, so we didn't do anything. We came back in 2021, so we had to rebuild it, you know, rebuild the trust and all of that. And we probably had like maybe 4 vendors, and, you know, a few people would come from the church, but then we would go to where they were waiting for their pantry food and give them cooking samples. You know, we would do coupons. We would just do whatever we had to do. And so now we're to the point like the market is thriving. We have farmers who support us. We have farmers who bring their fresh produce to the market to sell, like an actual farmer's market, even though the food is mainly for giveaway.
Yeah, you went from, it's not simply if you build it, they will come, right? Because the people, both the farmers and the consumers, need to have an answer to the question, why?
That's right.
You know, why would I'll just go to the drive-through. That's what I normally do on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Or if I feel like if I'm the farmer, I'm bringing my food, you know, into Riverview, and it's gonna just wilt.
Right. It might sell, it might not. So what we did was we have a farmer support program, And there's this one farmer, he grows like the best watermelon. And so when he brings his fresh produce, he can give it away, and then he can charge us, and we pay him. That way the food moves into the households where it needs to go, and he gets paid what he needs to get paid.
Yeah, because you have to have them coming back.
Yes.
So, I mean, how do you, I don't know, like, that's like a motherly, fatherly mentality where you want to keep helping because it's one of those things where you're trying to help if you're trying to help someone in the world, whoever it is, and it's tough to keep going like that. Like it takes a really special thought process, especially when, it's also part of your livelihood. I mean, so it's a blend, but you just kept doing it knowing. Did you know that it was going to pan out as far as the market? Just for, I know we're honing in on one example, but I want to learn about the mindset of people like you, so like that is, is that why you kept doing it no matter what?
Yeah, there's definitely a determination. So one of the things that we do at A Red Circle and in my family is we celebrate Kwanzaa. Talks about the 7 principles, the Nguzo Saba. And one of my favorite principles is Kuji Chakulia. And that means self-determination in Swahili. And so we approach this work with self-determination every day. We go into the classrooms and tutor children because we know that if we do that, they're going to become better readers. We work with farmers and we work with the community and retail folks. So we know if we keep doing this, our community is going to become healthier. It's going to become better. So we just keep at it. We're just really stubborn that way.
And everybody in your organization already knows that.
Yeah, they have to be.
They come in with that mentality.
That's one of the first interview questions. You have to be able to keep up with it, have a stick-with-itness.
I feel like like once you have, it's like any organization, but once you know, that dictates all of our decisions. If we're in question on what decision we make, we go back to that mantra, and if it fits within that mantra, then we do it. It makes all the decisions much easier.
Yeah, I wrote down certainty versus uncertainty because, of course, when you had your job, you had some level of certainty, right? And then you opted for the uncertainty. But if you are certain about your mindset and you are certain that you're going to be determined to go to whatever lengths are required, or you are certain about your mission, then the uncertainty doesn't matter.
That's right.
Right motives, right intentions, then right results.
Yeah. What's so awesome about this work is the more I kept at it, the more I kept meeting other people like me.
Yeah, right. It attracts, right? Mm-hmm. It's inevitable that it attracts. So before we go on, I want to make sure, again, we're talking to Erica Williams of A Red Circle. Do you say or A? Or
A Red Circle.
A Red Circle. Okay. So what is the genesis of A Red Circle? The name. What's in the name?
Yes. So, during my whole journey of, from what I call anger to something actually, positive.
Yep.
I started working in politics, helping out with political campaigns, and then I decided to go back to school to pursue my PhD. And as I was doing those classes, I had to come up with a mock nonprofit organization. And so I was really, thinking about what I wanted to see happen in North St. Louis County through investment, through economic development. And so I came up with a mission statement and a vision statement and a 5-year strategic plan and all the things that we were going to do. My fake board of directors and myself, all the things we were going to do with this nonprofit. And this was a school project, but I was like, this is actually kind of cool. And so the name of that school project was His Hands and Feet. It was a faith-based name to signify the hands and feet of Jesus.
Okay.
And so his hands would represent like short-term, quick and easy kind of things that we could do in the community to just like bring joy and, like healthy meals and food drives and things of that nature. And then his feet would signify long-term things that we would look for, like long-term systemic changes that we wanted to make about, the food system and the education system and things of that nature. So I was like, this actually might be fun to do. So let me just pursue it. And I looked it up in the Secretary of State's website, and the name was taken. There's already a nonprofit organization in the state of Missouri called His Hands and Feet. But by this time, the proverbial seed had been planted, as I like to say, because I'm a gardener, master gardener.
Well done. I caught on.
And I was walking on my lunch hour one day, just kind of thinking about the interconnection of the systems within a community that are needed for that community to thrive, and how you can form that a shape to, represent those interconnections with the circle, and how we have so many issues with race and racism and segregation and discrimination, but we all bleed red. Like, all blood is red. And so I was making the motion of a circle as I was walking, and like, a red circle. That's so simple. It just might work. And so I got back from lunch and went back to the Secretary of State's website, and that was not taken. And so I whipped out my credit card and set up an account, and I had a nonprofit.
Yep.
And then I went to the IRS website and did my 1023-EZ, and I 2 weeks later had my 501c3, and I was like, all right, we have an organization.
Let's go.
What the heck are we going to do?
And
Wow.
I'm looking at your brochure now with the logo, I guess I'll call it. And that could be a lot of things too, right? I mean, it looks like it could be a serving plate, and the nutrition such a major part of what you're dealing with.
Such a major part.
Yeah. And I think about the nutrition part, not to get too much into the weeds, but I do think it's worth considering, because we have so much access to, I don't want to use the word fast food, but I'll say fast food, because now everybody's doing more than they should, and usually not eating at home, with your family. That's kind of the exception as opposed to the rule, right? And I feel like and to use your word, it's audacious. It's audacious to think that you can make a difference in food. Like, you can make us eat better. It's and it's
Yes.
not like, but it's. I want to embrace it. I want to jump on board. Like, that's what we need to be doing.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It requires a lot of intentionality.
Yeah.
I mean, there are groups right now that are making meals. So one of the things we're planning to do with our building that we purchased last year is open a grocery store. And we have groups that make healthy food meals that are going to be placed in our store. And so we understand the allure of, and convenience of fast food and the drive-through and grab something and just get home and eat it.
Right.
But we can have that and still be healthy.
Yeah.
If we do it correctly, if we think through it ahead of time.
Yeah. And heck, that, there's some cost effectiveness to it too. And so maybe we have to work less because we're eating better food, right?
Cost effectiveness in the food itself and healthcare costs.
Healthcare, exactly. And but don't, I think about North County, and I confess, my lack of time, a lot less time in North County in the last few years, but I recall so many great businesses that operated there, and food was one of the real highlights of North St. Louis County. Actually, Chris and I were just going through some of the restaurants before we came here, like from our childhood, and like it is ripe for the opportunities that you're presenting, but people need to be made aware of them, right? Like, that's what you're doing. And then be open to receiving it, and then you need the support of everybody else around.
We need the support. I was telling someone, I think just this week, I grew up in the Normandy area. We had a Schnucks near us, and then we had a National near the Schnucks, and then we had a Kroger near the National. Like, there was food and good food and fresh produce. Later on in life, we had a Shop and Save. All of those stores have since moved out of the region, and they've been replaced by liquor stores and dollar stores and gas stations and convenience food stores. And so someone calls them hunger prevention products. Like, they give the belly the satisfaction, but they don't provide any nutrients. But that's kind of what was left in our neighborhood. And so, there are just so many ways to bring this back, to bring it home through our urban farm that we have, through our through our farmer partners that we work with, we're looking to figure out how to partner with even smaller restaurants so that we can get some of our fresh food into their restaurants, so then they can make the claim to fame of having local food on their menu and getting healthy food out that way.
And how have you been outreaching with these restaurants, doing that now or what? And how's that received?
Well, it's received pretty easily for me because I go there to eat. So I just I talk to the owner.
They'll give you a little attention, right?
Yeah, I talk to the owner and I say, hey, we have a farm, we have a garden, we have a farmer network.
That's great.
Can you use a box of fresh produce? So we're going to call this program Chef's Pantry.
Yeah.
And so, we might have some extra bok choy one week.
Yep.
So we'll be able to take it up there and they can do a special on their menu with bok choy. And then they can tell their diners about a red circle. And then we can say, hey, find our local food in these restaurants. So we're supporting entrepreneurs. We're getting the healthy food out. And we're, making sure that the food doesn't go bad, because food waste is another big issue.
Challenge, right? Mm-hmm. The phrase, the food desert. And I guess that's what we're kind of talking about, right? Like that food, those options are unavailable. It's dried up, the options. And you're sort of regrowing them, for lack of a better phrase.
That's right. I love it.
So you're the access to what you're actually producing is through the farmers market, and then of course through what you just described in terms of presenting it to restaurants. And what are there other opportunities to have access to what you're growing?
Yes. So in Pine Lawn, beginning May 10th, we'll have Good Food Fridays. They'll restart for the third year. Families can come by and get a freshly picked bag of produce, washed and ready to go, fresh eggs. Later in the year, local honey. We have bees at the farm, so that's every Friday. And then we're also working with some churches in the area so that we can help, their congregants get the good food. This program is called God's Bounty.
And in the community, like I know you're at this point you've kind of grown a little bit from a staffing perspective. Of course, you can do this on your own for so long, but now you're growing. Well, what is the take a minute to tell what's your greatest needs in terms of volunteers and of course funding and opportunities for that.
Yes, we can always use volunteers at the farm. Summertime, spring and summer are fairly heavy, labor-intensive seasons, and so we can, use help with mowing and weeding and watering. We can use help getting the word out. We're working to raise awareness of the work that we're doing. We can use volunteer help with, even some behind-the-scenes things like social media, IT type things. We have a great volunteer who, works through all of our, laptops and all that kind of stuff to keep us all networked and all of that. But, we can definitely use volunteer. We can use volunteer fundraisers. We can use volunteer party planners. We like to host a group, an event that we call Brunch in the Garden every year. So we can use some volunteer party planners for that. That'd be a lot of fun. Take that off my plate.
Sounds like there's a lot of opportunities then.
Yes.
And good ones. I mean, that's an array that, people can really use their talents and benefit the community. I mean, so next on your list of things to do, I guess, anything big, like, hey, I need an introduction to such and such, or, just, are you trying to hit a certain mark by a certain year as far as maybe housing in certain areas or anything like that? Or just what's the next big thing for the organization in general?
The next big thing for us is to begin planning out the North County Community Nexus. So this is the 44,000 square foot shopping plaza that we purchased last year. It's in the city of Bellefonte Neighbors. And it has an office building and a former shopping plaza building that we're going to convert it to a grocery store, a healthy food bistro, a licensed commercial kitchen for our food entrepreneurs to be able to come and make product and get them packaged and labeled and out to market. Cold storage for our farmers, and small business incubation space. So that's going to be in the plaza.
That's huge.
It's huge. And then in the office building, it's going to be our new headquarters, which will give me more space. But we have been waiting for a document from HUD that we just found out today that they finally signed off on. And so now we're about to start drawing up all the architectural plans and getting things going and fully launching our capital campaign. And so that's the next
this
big,
is
big
a huge
thing.
day then. That's amazing.
It's a huge day.
Yeah,
I'm so
congratulations. You must have like fireworks going off in your brain all the time as these victories come through. You know, you have a lot of victories in the last 7 years, right?
We have. It's been a lot of fun with, people supporting, people believing in this work, trusting in me to implement my vision, and really signing on to the good work that we are doing.
Think about the tangible things that you've already created, which is just that. Where's the farm at?
That is in Pine Lawn off of Jennings Station Road and Highway 70.
And
then
how large is the farm?
It's a little bit over half an acre.
Okay, and it's some farm animals. It sounds like.
Well, we
eggs.
had some chickens.
Yeah, chickens. Okay.
We relocated the chickens to a collaborative farm because he has more space.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be getting the eggs from that farm to bring them back for Good Food Friday. We have bees, and there is a house next to the farm that we bought last year that we were going to have it renovated, but it was just not worth it, so we had it torn down. And now there's a new house on site that's going to be finished probably by the end of May. So we'll have office space there and teaching kitchen space there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
That's incredible.
There. So the kitchen's basically designed for that.
Yep.
To have...
Someone's going to be there teaching about canning and cooking, and that way, we're
that's
giving
amazing.
away
On the farm?
On the farm.
That's a great idea.
You don't have to go to Iowa to help out at the farm, right?
There you go. Come right here. Come to North St. Louis County.
That's amazing. That is really amazing. Yeah. And I think it's kind of like one of those, it's a manifestation of like a vision. It's almost, somebody could laugh at that idea, like it sounds laughable. You're going to put a farm in Pine Lawn and then put a house on it to do culinary training. Stop.
Exactly.
Right? Forget pushback. The uncertainty of that idea is vanished when you're certain about what you want to accomplish, right?
That's right.
And then, you could drive by these shopping centers and you could just be like, I wish somebody would rent that out or buy that, or I wish somebody would do something with that. And it's like you want to look over, you basically just looked over at the person and said, well, do something about it, buy it. And then you just bought it.
I just bought it.
So like that's the difference right there. It's just a lot of, I wish somebody would do this. I think most people would like to have a farm and build a house next to it and have a chef teacher in there teaching you what to do with the food. But to be able to share that with just the people of the community and then just fresh produce and putting restaurants up specifically designed to help. Help entrepreneurs, to help the community, to help the neighborhood, and then it's all a big red circle.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
What's the best way to get better
connected.
food in the area is just to grow it.
Yep. Grow it.
And then and then if you don't know what to do with it, we'll show you what to do over here. I just think outstanding execution.
Thank you.
People want to get things done. They talk about getting things done. You just get things done. Yep. So I think that's just
lucky to have you, Erica Williams, for sure.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. This our theme. So we have a theme every year, and the theme of our for this year is awareness and impact. So we've been working to raise awareness of our work and deepen our impact, because we want the community to feel what we're doing and know that we are here for them.
I'm inspired listening to you, and we're excited to get this one out because I think it'll be exactly what you're talking about, impactful, and generate some awareness that people just don't have. And I know I didn't until I heard you on the radio, and I was like, wow, that's a big thing. We got to talk about that. So
Thank you
very
so
grateful
much.
for your time. And I'm sure we'll reconnect again now that I know what's going on with you, Erica.
I would
Erica
love
Williams.
it. I would love that.
A Red Circle. Thank you so much.